Florida at Tennessee, ESPN, noon Eastern. And let me throw out some stats on this one. The Gators 18-2 straight up, 14-6 against the spread. Now the under is on a 9-4-1 run for Florida to improve to 12-7-1 overall. Now the Gators are going to be underdogs in Knoxville, and they've only been underdogs once this year, and they failed to cover a 106-100 loss at Kentucky as a 3.5 point dog. The Gators have played 3 SEC road games. They're 2-1 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. But overall, in their last 15 games, they're on a 12-3 against the spread run. The Gators are 5th in the net. They're 3-2 in quad 1 games. This is a quad 1 game. They're 6-0 in quad 2 games. All right, so the Vols 17-4 straight up, 12-8-1 against the spread. At home, they're 11-1 straight up, 8-4 against the spread. They're number 4 in the net. They're 5-4 in quad 1 games, 2-0 in quad 2 games. But the Vols have lost back-to-back games and 3 of their last 4. But they have had their way with the Gators in the head-to-head rivalry, with earlier this month being an exception. But the Vols have won 7 of the last 10 against the Gators. They have won 7 in a row against the Gators at home, and 4 by double digits. The Gators have not tasted victory at Thompson Bowling Arena since 2014, when they won 67-58. And the under is on a 3-0 run and is 7-2 in the last 9 head-to-head meetings between these teams. I made Tennessee a 4-point favorite. Jay, what do you think on this line here?
I think that line's going to be a little bit generous. I think it's going to be closer to a bucket. I'm curious what some of the algorithms and or the line setters who lean a little more on their gut are going to think about Tennessee's recent slide. I'm curious how they're going to view Chaz Lanier, who has struggled mightily in his last 7 SEC games and just was dreadful in the basketball swamp. Was awful.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even mention. So the Gators won 73-43 on January 7th. They jumped out to a 34-15 halftime lead, and they rolled. And Lanier was 1 of 9 on threes, 2 of 7 on twos. So what's that? 3 of 16 that night, only 10 points. Ziegler had 10 points, 2 steals, but Ziegler only had 1 assist. Wow. Where's turnover? And 3 turnovers. Oh, yeah, that was a tough night for the Vols, but they're in revenge mode. They've won 7 in a row at home. So you said you're thinking more like Tennessee -2. Ken Palm. Yeah. Ken Palm's got Tennessee -3. So right in the middle between our numbers, 71-68. So that would be a 139 total. All right. So let's say it is 3, like Ken Palm has it. Would you be getting involved there?
I would lean more towards an underplay than I would a side in that game, because I mean, there are a couple of things that are unwritten that you have to really wonder how this Tennessee, and it can go both directions. Not only is there a major revenge factor about Florida pantsed Tennessee to a way that wasn't Tennessee #1 in America then?
Yeah, they just got there. Yep.
They were unbeaten. They were the last unbeaten team in the country. They were #1 in America. They walked in to the hardwood swamp feeling their oats, and they got pantsed. And
that was only 116 combined points, and the under's on a 12-5 run for Tennessee. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And now, granted, it's on the road, but they turned Auburn into a rock fight too. Now, Kentucky, that game went over Tuesday night because Kentucky was shooting the basketball so well. but at halftime it was 33-30, well on its way to another 120-ish number. I mean, I don't like either side, and I was going to finish my thought. I don't know if revenge, and Tennessee's now facing the potential of a 3-game losing streak, so desperation falls into it. But you're also playing at home, and there's going to be an uneasiness among that fan base because they get off to a slow start. It's been a long time since I've seen a fan base get disgruntled with a guy who's had monster success like Rick Barnes has had. I know Tennessee fans who want to run him off.
What?
Yes.
Oh, God.
No, truly.
They just went to the Elite Eight last year. How many times have they been to the Elite Eight? Like 3 times ever? They lost to Sparty in overtime of Bruce Pearl. Was that only the second Elite Eight they've ever been to?
Well, that didn't they lose to Ohio State with Bruce Pearl too, with Greg Oden, that was going to get them to their first Final Four, and they've never been to the Final Four?
I don't think that was Elite Eight. I don't think.
Maybe it may have been the Sweet 16, but you're right. It's not. That's very high. I mean, we're talking about easily the golden era of SEC basketball across the conference. I mean, Auburn's made its first Final Four. Alabama's made its first Final Four in recent years. I mean, I know Florida had a great run with Billy D, but, I mean, goodness gravy.
Yeah, we haven't been to the Elite Eight.
We are nouveau rich, man. The SEC is nouveau rich. And we are dot-commers and Bitcoiners and everything else. So anybody who wants to drop their pedigree down the table, it's like Nick from Bachelor Party. There it is, right? He's just going to roll it out. They're going to say, is that the foot long? Yeah, and then some. All right. So it's all on the table, but this is the time to strike. And everybody feels like we're entitled to something. We're not. We're not.
Tennessee should be thrilled to have Rick Barnes as its head coach, despite some postseason struggles. But, I mean, he's been the second weekend back-to-back years. All right, so let me explain to you how low this total is for Florida standards, if it is 139 like Ken Palm suggests. So it would be the second lowest total of the season for Florida, but the lowest was against Virginia before odds makers really figured out that this Virginia is not Tony Bennett Virginia. That was a December 4th game. The total was 133, and Florida won 87-69. So that was 156 combined points. But other than that total in the 130s, Florida has only had 2 totals even in the 140s this year. So before the one this Saturday, their second lowest total of the year was 147 at South Carolina. Did go under. And then their last game Saturday against Georgia was a push at 148 in the 89-59 win. Let's also point out, Gators have had a whole week to rest and prepare. Now, Tennessee did play on Tuesday night. So this is a super low total for the Gators, but, you know, they did have the 73-43 game with Tennessee earlier in the year. All right, here's my plan on this game. I hope Tennessee gets a nice lead early. I'd love to get the Gators at like plus 7-ish or more on a live bet. But if the line is 3, I think it's Tennessee or pass. But I'm going to be looking to hopefully play the Gators at a better number with a live bet. So that's where I'm at. And you're lean to the under. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not going to lean, and I know we're in a difficult spot on a Thursday when we don't have hard numbers. But I'm going to set, if the over-under is 142 or higher, I'm going under.
And it could be. It very well could be. Especially,
it could be. I mean, I know we're only dealing off Ken Palm's projections and whatnot, but that's kind of where I've set it on my own. And because I think Tennessee's got to win a rock fight. They have to. And I got to believe after Tuesday, yesterday's practice was brutal because that's the most points. 78 that Kentucky put on the board is the most points anybody has scored on Tennessee this year, I believe.
Yeah. Well, 76 I'm not saying you're wrong. 76 Vandy, 73 Florida. Yeah. So I think you're right there. You are right. Vandy and Florida were second and third there.